There was a point in the first quarter. It sounds weird to say it because it was the first quarter, but there's a point when it felt like the game was starting to slip away from the Sixers. And it felt like Hardin had a chance to assert himself. And he started to be like distributor James Harden. And then I think eventually he tried to get his stuff going, but it was a little too late. There was a point in that first quarter where like Durant, Kyrie brought it tonight. I got to bring it right now. This is now star against star. We get 2-10. This is now 2-on-2 with some role players. I got to go. And for some reason, Hardin, it was like he was hitting a snooze alarm in the game. A couple more minutes, I'll be ready. And it's like, you're down 20? They need you now? Get to the fucking basket, hit some threes. I thought it was alarming. Can we do the James Harden, just a quick no-show history?
For sure.
We did this
absolutely.
on the Book of Basketball pod, but so it goes back to the 2012 finals when he was awful, and it was one of the reasons they traded him. He was 4-8 in Houston elimination games. The stats are pretty grisly. He was knocked out of the playoffs at home in 3 straight postseasons. 2015 Clip Series, Game 6, 5 for 20, benched during the comeback of Josh Smith, Corey Brewer, Terrence Jones, the magical night in the Staples. No one will ever forget. 2017 Game 6, San Antonio, 2 for 11, 10 points. 2018 Golden State Warriors, up 3-2, 22 for 51 with 14 turnovers in the final 2 games, 6 for 25 from 3. 2019, no KD, they're home. 35 points, 11 for 25, 6 turnovers, but it was really just Curry and Clay, and they didn't take care of business in that. And then in 2020, which was the last one, he sucked in that Game 4 against the Lakers. That was really the end of the series when I think that was another 2 for 11. As Zach Lowe always points out, he's had 3 different famous 2 for 11s in the playoffs. So Zach's whole thing is like, is he the Karl Malone of our generation in big games? My point is, I wasn't surprised to see him no-show tonight's game.
I don't think if it's a big game and Harden doesn't play up to what we think his capabilities are, I don't see how anybody could ever be surprised at this point. And another thing, to stay on the Harden stuff, Joel comes out and he's basically, I think what you were talking about is when he's manning this bench unit lineup, where it's basically Harden and a bunch of guys that, bench guys. And they're just not able to generate any meaningful, quality offense.
Yeah.
Where back in the days, especially right after Houston had shipped out Dwight Howard, where it's just James Harden and guys, and he willed them to 47 wins. He is not that dude no more. It's to the point where I think, Bill, you might literally have to mirror his minutes with Joel. Because if he's not going to be able to kill people one-on-one, and he's that huge of a liability on defense, I think you're going to have to marry his minutes to Joel, because that's when he's at his most devastating at this point, is when he's paired with Embiid, because he's not this killer anymore.
Well, we'll find out about his right calf injury that they showed him on the sidelines, him rubbing his thing. All right, so also, he was doing the thing where he was bitching for calls. And
when James Harden complains about a ticky-tack call, I'm just like, Lord, have mercy. Come on, James Harden. We can't do this with you.
Here's what I learned tonight was, Kyle, turn the camera on. I actually dislike the Sixers more than the Nets because of Harden, because he forced his way out of 2 teams in 12 months. As I'm watching this, I'm thinking, I should dislike the Nets more. Kyrie, terrible ending in Boston. It's always fun to root against him. He's probably our number 1 Boston villain now. Ben Simmons quits on the Sixers, refuses to play. Now there's rumors he might be trying to get his money back, even though he wouldn't play for them. And it's like, I kind of want to root against this team. But then the game started, and I found myself just gravitating to Nash and Durant, and even Kyrie, who's fucking awesome sometimes. It's really fun to watch him. And as weird as he is, he's one of the weirdest NBA players we've had, I think, in my lifetime. He's on certain nights, man, when he has it, it's really fun to watch him. And I found myself kind of rooting for Brooklyn, an emotion I did not expect. Where was your heart leading to as this first quarter unfolded?
Well, I was out for the past 2 weeks. I can't say I was paying much attention to the NBA. I wasn't really online that much, but the second I go onto my my Twitter, it's like old takes exposed. But and I didn't even listen to what I said. It was something that I said on this podcast, and Sixers fans are going nuts, right? Like they're in their winning streak. They're beating up on Emmanuel quickly and the mighty New York Knicks. They're really smelling themselves. So I'm just like, okay, I see what this is. Now I have to root for you people to be hurt. I have to root for you people to get crushed. I have to root for you people to have sleepless nights, pits in your stomach. You know when your team loses and you can't even eat the next day. That's what I have to root for Sixers fans now. When ordinarily I would just be like, whatever it is, what it is.
Right.
Yeah, I'm definitely invested in seeing the Sixers go down in flames at this point. Absolutely. And yes, the Hardin thing I didn't like at all. It rubbed me the wrong way. But like you said, so did the Simmons thing. Kyrie's whole, third eye, Illuminati's trying to get us with the vaccine. That makes me sick. But yeah, deep down inside, I have to root against the Sixers fan base.
Yeah. And this is all in good fun. We're not like,
of course.
Look, we watch games. We're rooting for somebody. Sometimes we're rooting for nobody. But I was surprised. And really, it's because Durant is such a special player. I mean, he's one of the 10 best ever. He showed again tonight that if it's a really big game, a really big one, especially in an atmosphere like that, how many guys do you actually want on your side in a game like that? The crowd's going nuts. They're chanting, "Fuck Ben Simmons." And Durant's like icy killer the whole time, which, by the way, he wasn't always like that. Like there was moments in OKC when I do think he grew into that, maybe because of what happened in 2016. All right, a couple other notes I had. Did Durant reclaim the best player alive case? I mean, Jokic is basically averaging 35 and 16. Just it seems like every night now. I don't even know who the best player is, but to me, Durant just kind of raised his hand and reminded everyone, like, hey, when we're talking Jokic and Embiid and Luka, and you guys are doing this round robin, who just can you just, I'm right here, Giannis, I'm over here.
Yeah, when KD's right, give me the 7-foot guy with the devastating crossover, the pull-up jumper, the dead-eye three-point shot, the great help defense when he's up for it, right? Like manning the back line on the help side. He's incredible at that when he's up for it, when he's right. So, yeah, give me KD. In all of those situations. He was just, you could tell again in the first quarter, these are one-on-one superstar shots that he's making, right? That is just like, I'm just going to destroy whoever's in front of me. This is what is needed of me from my team.
Well, and go in and Embiid. And go in and Embiid that time. He threw that in, which I would have bet he was going to do at some point. But yeah, he's trying to be the emotional fulcrum as opposed to James, who looked like he was wearing a James mask. I don't think the expression on his face even changed for 4 quarters. He looked like he had the James Harden beard on. Kyrie, look, who knows? Who knows if he's going to be allowed to play in the home games?
Oh, man.
Who knows if Brooklyn's going to be in a situation where they're better off having the 7-8 on the road so he can play. My guess is all this stuff will get figured out. But when I noticed this on Sunday with the KD, Curry and Kyrie all out there at the same time. And Curry's kind of an afterthought in the corner where the defense is shifting away from him and he's just got open threes Curry's a really good offensive player. And that was my fear with this Philly trade in the beginning was like, I know that he played well with Embiid, and they had to give that up for the trade. But now he's like this just embarrassment of riches in their offense. And he's just kind of over on the side, putting up 22.
Yeah, and what's cool is that he's another ball mover. And what you mentioned, Kyrie, early on in his career, he was that pound the air out of the ball kind of guy. And he gets to it sometimes when he feels a matchup that he needs. But for the most part on his team, man, he's whipping the ball around. They're finding the open man, sending the extra pass. And it's really cool to see. And again, he's getting up in James Harden's grill defensively. He's taking the matchup personally. And when Kyrie's at his best, when he is moving the ball, when he's attacking the proper matchups, when he is just, putting relentless pressure on the rim and he's guarding his guy in a way that's competent and not just a complete sieve and a turnstile to the basket, extremely fun to watch outside of all of the sage burning and all the extracurriculars.
Really talented guy. Really strange guy. In the running for strangest professional athlete of the last 5 years, but incredibly talented. So I want to mention the fuck Ben Simmons chants. They hurt a little bit since my son's name is Ben Simmons, and then I talked myself into it. But this is great. They're chanting fuck my kid's name. Simmons was this weird, I don't even like subplot. He was wearing what was that sweatshirt he was wearing? I don't know whether he was trying to launch a clothing line tonight. I don't know why he was there. Like, literally, I have no idea why he was there, other than if
antagonize. That's it. This is it. These two teams don't like each other. Obviously, there's bad feelings between guys like James and Kyrie.
Yeah,
clearly, it's on record how Joel feels about Ben Simmons, right? So there's bad blood from multiple guys on each team. And so he's there to antagonize, which finally Ben Simmons do something that we could get some respect. Like if you would have showed up to the game and be like, oh, I can't be there, I don't want to face these fans, all of that. It was cool. It's a good first step for Ben Simmons in all right, man, let me get back to being a regular hooper and not some sideshow.
I would be interested to see if he could have played in a game like the one tonight with how intense it got when you're basically afraid to get fouled. And I think if he was out there, the smart move, I don't know if Philly would have done it, but you just go hack a Ben immediately. Guy shot 34% from the free throw line in the playoffs last year. Let's put him on the line. Let's try to get in his head. Let's do it right away. Let's see. But from what we saw tonight, he might play 18 to 20 minutes a game for them in the playoffs. It's almost like anything he gives them is a bonus because they have enough. And also, we didn't mention the Drummond trade. Man, if I'm Philly, I'm kind of fighting giving up Drummond in that because you see the drop off to Dwight Howard. Drummond, even though Embiid was putting up stats, Drummond's at least can get rebounds and put up stats basically. And it was the kind of big body that the Nets didn't have before. So, I think it was smart for the Nets to get him.
I don't know that DeAndre Jordan is the long-term answer there at backup five. In fact, yes, I do. He's not the answer.
He's not short-term. He's not short-term. Medium-term.
I don't even know why I said long-term. He's just not the answer.
He's not any term.
He's not any answer to your backup center position. But to get back to Ben Simmons, I think, man, watching this game and seeing some of the things that James Johnson and Claxton were able to do where they're catching the ball in space and they don't possess the ball handling and theoretical finishing ability. And also, Ben Simmons legitimately is just a much better passer with the ball in his hand. Simmons catching the ball in space because defenses are so worried about what Kevin Durant does on the ball. Some of those, catch the ball after Kevin, they send two while Kevin Durant's dribbling at the top of the key, and he dumps it over the top to Claxton, and he makes a smart decision and finishes over Hardin 2 times. If that's Ben Simmons that's catching that, on a 3-on-2 going downhill, that's when he's at his best. And I think some of the stuff you've seen James Johnson do, basically with the dribble handoff type of stuff, I think Simmons, man, can slot in really nicely, but he has to be playing next to Kyrie and KD because they're going to be able to create the gravity and the pressure on the defense that allow him to do things that he's capable of, that he has the skills to, and not we're not going to ask you to get the ball at the top of the key and break a dude down and actually score.
Yeah, and the Nets were feisty on defense today. Last thing for me just on this game was that, do you think, Steve Nash's first happy moment in 10 months since the Celtics Nets playoff series? I was thinking about him today because they showed him a couple of times. So there was a couple of times over the last few months when they would show him on the sidelines, and he kind of looked like Obama near the end of the second term, where all of a sudden it's oh, Obama's hair went white. I didn't realize. Right. Oh, Obama's got 2 teenage daughters, and he just ran the country for 8 years, and you could see it on his face. Nash was looking like that, but today the Nash was more hopeful. Nash it was a light at the end of the tunnel. Nash, it was I still have Durant. Kyrie's probably going to be able to play every game. This weird Hardin situation where he shows up out of shape and he's pretty miserable the last 2 months he's here. That's out. I have Simmons as like a fun wild card. I have a bench. I have shooting. It doesn't really matter if Joe Harris comes back or not now because at least we've replaced the shooting with Curry. I don't know. And then as an 8 seed, which I think they have to be the most dangerous 8 seed we've had. People would say the 1999 Knicks, but come on. Come on. This team's a little more dangerous at full strength than that team was. But yeah, I think he's got to be feeling good.
And the cool thing too is that when he got the job, I remember when he got the job, there was so much carping about it and bitching and moaning and did Steve Nash skip the line and blah 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 and why are they advocating for Nash to get it? And the idea was that he was just going to come in and try to be a people manager. You know, in his time in the league, he was known as one of the most emotionally intelligent guys in all of basketball, and this was going to be a team with some mercurial personality types, and it was going to be his job to manage that. And guess what? The job has been anything but that. He's had to actually coach. They said the Nets have started 37 different lineups this year. This is legitimate hardships on a coach, right? And so finally, he's starting to get his guys back. KD's been injured. Of course, the Kyrie stuff. Hardin got injured. All of the stuff that's happened with this team, he hasn't had just a normal few weeks with this team since he got the job. And I think this stretch run is probably going to be the most normal it's been for Steve Nash since he started over there.